Hey traders, this is Taylor with Top Pick Trading. Filling in for Marco today on the bar by bar. I don't think I can live up to his standards, but we're gonna try to give you guys a good bar by bar lesson here anyway. So I'm trading. This is trading on the September contract. Yesterday was rollover day for most of the morning at least. I haven't checked it now, but most of the morning the September one still had more than the December one. So this analysis is done on the September one. So I came in this morning about 8 o'clock Eastern. That's right around here. I would draw my pre-market chart. I'll try to color as many of these channels as I can for you guys. So it looks like we had this move up, break new high, strong push down, possible break here. Let's see. EMA is holding 3 swings now, and it actually didn't end up holding here. Push below. We get a little dip below the EMA. Push back above the EMA. We have 3 bullish bars here, so potential micro uptrend. And this is the first gap below the EMA, so we'll probably retest these highs since we've had EMA support prior. And that looks like I can draw a real trend here. All right. Push up to these highs, and at this point, you may have had, sorry, forgot to draw this. You may have had this little range here, but when this happened, I'd probably expand it, make it like this. This looks good. It's like midline's holding well. And we hit these highs. Now we've got big up, big down, big up. So this is very much so trading range behavior. This is the first break of this. And now we've corrected like what, 75% of this move. So it looks like it's just going to be big up, big down again. Draw a micro trend here. See what happens. Getting close to these range of lows here. Let me color this. Expand just a little bit. Still holding. See if it offers support. We get a break here right at this support. EMA may still hold, and it does. And it drops below. This looks like a failed breakout potentially, or it is a breakout, but it may fail just because we've traded up into this. So this strong bearish bar here. Yeah, I would not take any long because the strength of this leg, and then the EMA held, and the strength of this bar alone here. Setup bar's too strong. Don't enter this long. It'll probably burn you. And look, it wouldn't have triggered, but if it did trigger, you would have gotten stopped out. So, and let's see. At this point, I may expand. It looks like these lows may fit pretty well. They do. So, watching this channel, it's not confirmed yet technically, but if we get a third touch here, we may have something going in the other direction. And here's the open. You can see how it lightened up here. And we did break the channel, so we may not get a retest because it was only 2 touches, and this is a failed breakout. So we may just go back into the range. Got a micro trend working. Push through the EMA. Micro trend still holding. Back into the support area here. We get a really strong bullish bar. It's a shame it finished so high, right into previous resistance here. Fairly big bar, 14 ticks. Breaking new high from this micro uptrend too. Getting near that middle of that trading range. I don't think you can take this. I think it's close, but I don't think I'd mark it. Just a better positioning on the bar, you could have taken it as a higher low. We get the new high off this micro trend. We turn very strongly with this bar. Another strong bar. This is very strong bearish, and you may expect that because this move was really strong here. We get actually a nice looking bar. This is technically by the count a failed second entry, but the uptrend already played out. This moved really far. Doesn't look like a failed second. I know it is by the count, but it doesn't look like it. So it did bounce at this support. Makes this one a lot more tempting. I'm still gonna lay off on marking this because it's big up, big down. It looks like trading range behavior. The bias isn't necessarily in our favor, so I'm not gonna mark that one. If this was within this micro trend, then it could be a decent trade, but it didn't develop that way. It looks like we may have another trend working here. No, when we break that, go ahead and delete that. It wasn't big enough. We turn right here at this midpoint area again. We get technically a second entry here, but finished way too high. Just a big body bar, so not much tail. So this just looks again like big down, big up trading range. Get an inside bar, and then we get a really nice looking bar. But look how we're just oscillating on each side of the EMA. We are at this support area, but again, the resistance is very close. We turned right here on the previous bar. So I mean, this pushed up, retraced, and then pushed back down. I mean, we're right to where this turned. So I think this is a little risky too. It's a really nice bar. We did enter one. Maybe consider this one, but I'm not going to mark it still. And you can see it didn't go far. You would have gotten in, and then, wow, yeah, stack congestion. And at this point too, could be watching some kind of micro trend like that. Not clear on the bottom side, but clearly making lower highs here. And this looks kind of like a wedge type pattern. Breaks out. Nothing to take still. Straight congestion. And then, ooh, get the hammer dropped on them. Drop below the support. That's a really strong bar. Still, right into previous support. Can't take it. And get a really strong little micro trend working. And no way to take this. This is just this little 7-tick bar. It's not going to be able to overcome like a 10-point move. So you can't take this. It does bounce, of course, though. It looks like it maybe bounced right in this region. So there's some support here too. That confirmed it. We didn't know that before, though. So now we got a micro uptrend working. Just same situation as before. Below the MA, above the MA, below the MA. Now above the MA. Get a break. Bounce at the support. But look, it's that same area where we keep finding resistance. So in my opinion, you can't take this. And you get inside bar anyway, so you wouldn't have entered no. Would have gotten in, would have gone sideways, you would have gotten stopped out. So, and then we get this, which is just straight congestion now. Get this really nice bar, but right in the middle of that congestion, right into the support, can't take it. Looks like it may would have worked, but can't risk that. Now we're breaking higher. Going back inside of this range again. 3 strong bullish bars, so I'm drawing a micro trend here. Notice how these moves are very V-shaped spikes. It's going to be a lot harder to find bigger trends in this type behavior because trends, for example, like this are most likely not going to be valid. They can be, but you need more price action to trust it. So let's keep watching. You want to go with the more local stuff on these rangy type days like this. And maybe you can expand this one just a little bit. Fits pretty well still. It'll close outside, still expecting a new high. Get the new high. Getting far away from the EMA, but this is a very strong move. And if you notice, even since the overnight, while it is very rangy, overall, if you look at the bigger picture, we're still making higher lows and higher highs. So keep that in mind. This nice bar, congestion far from the EMA, all congested. Nothing here. Finally drops back to the EMA. Uptrend had played out, but notice here that EMA potentially after this bullish impulse is offering support, but let's see if we get follow through. No follow through, but we get a second entry here, and it's also, you can probably see this like, oops, a triple test as well. Made that low, almost tested it here, but for sure tested it twice here, and then a third time. Problem is it's an inside bar, and there's some congestion here, and the uptrend has already played out. So the bias is in our favor, but given that the context of the uptrend playing out and the congestion, this one's a harder take, but since it's a bar that ends on its high, I am going to mark this one. I'm actually going to mark it green though, which for my definitions is aggressive, like similar markings as Mack. So this will be aggressive for Mack, it's aggressive for me. But yeah, if you took that, let's see. Looks like you would have gotten the scalp. And it's really flying high here, so you probably would have gotten a runner. Look how each bar is just finishing on its high, essentially. Retracement here. This is a little micro trend. 3 strong bullish, so now we're back to big up, big down, range behavior. Bounces at the support. Let's see what happens. Inside bar, but we broke. Okay. Now we dropped back down again. Now this micro trend has a new low. Now we bounce again, but we're kind of working lower slowly. And I know I said you don't draw them this way, but you may want to check and just see how it's fitting at this point, because we just kept pushing higher. You wouldn't want to look for it in this area, but once we kept pushing higher, you start thinking about a larger trend here. And it actually does fit pretty well off the highs, but we do have a break here, so we may retest. It's kind of a weird looking trend. I'm not convinced of it. Let's just keep it in mind and keep going. We are pushing lower. Push back above the EMA, still very unclear. We do have a micro trend working. Let's see. Close outside. Potentially, it's pretty close to just being this. Yeah, this actually looks pretty good. So, a little bit of a traveling channel. Looks good. And we ended up retesting the highs. And we broke new high from both the shaded uptrend, potentially, and this micro uptrend here that I'll color red. Now we get a new high, and we're still flushing higher. I'd caution you of expanding it like this. It looks okay, but on a move that's likely the end of an uptrend, be a little more careful and keep it tight. So it looks like we've got definitely a break in new high. Correct back to the EMA. Looks like, nope, we push higher one more time. This is like almost, you could say this is a triple test, but really looks more like a double top. But you notice, tried to go higher once here. We traded all the way back down, came up again, quickly turned, and pushed up. So this is really, if you're looking on a micro scale, this isn't true congestion. This is more like a triple test. Uptrend has already played out. Look how far away we are from the EMA here. Almost 5 points away. So the size of this bar, 7 ticks. You may want to risk this one on a day that hasn't given you much. This looks like all the uptrends have played out. We gap below the EMA here, so this may be like a final flag type move. So yeah, let's see. It looks like you probably would have gotten out. At this point, this is looking like a potential range. So now we get a second entry long here, but it looks like the uptrends have played out. The bar is not that great anyway. So notice we gap below the EMA like I mentioned a second ago. So you're not just automatically going to think we have EMA support here again since we gap below here. It does push higher, but you don't know that at the time. Ooh, and we get a true triple test. If you counted this as 2, then a quadruple test here, but a really nice bar as far as strength, but closes right into the EMA, so you can't take it there. Unfortunate. Push below. Looks like we got a micro trend working. Push back up. Big up, or big down, big up. Let's see. And here we actually get a first entry, pushed up, second entry, and first entry, second entry, long failure. So if this breaks below this bar, probably going to trap some longs. This is a really tempting trade to mark. I don't like the setup bar being the same color, and we're really close to the lows, which is where this micro downtrend is probably going to be played out. So this one's really hard to take. If it formed higher, closer to the EMA, maybe you take this, but it's not quite good enough positioning for me to justify marking it. Yep, and you see you don't get a good follow through. You would have gotten the scalp here, but you don't know that at the time. Maybe that doesn't look great in any way it played out. So we're going to go with this one. Get a little higher low here. Unclear where we are in this. This is very choppy up and down, so don't take it. Of course, it worked out. Now it looks like potentially we've got another range working here. Kind of odd price action, really choppy back and forth, and starts racing one way and then goes the other way. Now this isn't holding. It's like another micro move down. Decent bar here, but 4 bears almost all closing on their low, so you can't take it. There you go. You see, you probably would have, nope, actually would have survived, but don't know that at the time. And this doesn't look like it's holding that well. Maybe something like this. Watch and see. Get a higher low here, but we've turned here twice, and we just turned here, so congestion, middle of the EMA. Look how we're swinging. We are swinging a little bit more consistently below the EMA, but traded up into this, so just wait and see if we get something better. And you can see this huge bearish bar, so good thing we didn't enter there. Now we get a failed second entry short, but once again, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars stacked. We're starting to make lower highs and lower lows. So overall, it's the local price action saying either unsure or slight bearish bias. So stay out of this. Would have worked, of course, right? And we get a lower high here. Unfortunately, right into that EMA. This one's very tempting to mark. It looks like 2 legs up. It's technically a second entry. If you want to be aggressive, I think this one's an aggressive trade, very aggressive, but I think potentially you can see it as a lower high after this triple top here. Problem is the EMA is right there, but it hasn't really offered support. So, and it looks like it would have worked. Definitely would have worked now. Nothing clear cut. Even these 3 trades are all very aggressive. Push above the EMA, congestion here, right and hanging out in the middle of this range. Ooh, touches that same resistance line where the lower high was and just instantly darts down. But now we have a break, a new low from this micro downtrend. Bouncing out support, pushing through support. Go breakout. Pushing back into the range. Look at this higher low, had a lot of strength. But after this bearish leg and that congestion and closing around in the EMA, I don't think you can take anything like that. Now we've got a micro uptrend working. And at this point, since we're not, it's all these uptrends that we had drawn have played out. We're starting to get a bearish bias return when this leg happens. So when we turn back up here, I'm going to start looking for another larger pattern again. Typically, you want to start from the tails. You can see that doesn't fit all that great. So especially during pre-market, if you can't get anything to fit and if there's obvious that prices are sticking to some kind of larger pattern, you can start adjusting and going from the bodies or closer to the bodies. And let's see. This actually looks pretty good. You can see maybe start right here. We get a touch here, confirmed here, and we bounced here again. Highs don't look that great. Came up short here. So this does look fairly valid, but we did come up short here, so may get a break here. Let's just keep an eye. Yep, keep an eye out. It looks like we are pushing lower again. Get another higher low. That's where we've been bouncing here. The support resistance level several times now. Do bounce again. The EMA held prices a little. We do push below. We break outside this major channel. Now we've got like 3 legs down. Maybe you can draw another micro trend here that would have played out now. Push below that red support level. We got a higher low here. Unfortunately, this formed underneath the EMA, and EMA was showing somewhat resistance here, but right back in that support level. But doji bar below the EMA, can't take it. And now we can expect maybe we're going to get a retest of these highs since we broke this larger trend channel. And draw our micro trend. Looks decent. And we got a break. EMA held. New high. Another correction. EMA is holding again. So at this point, you may want to start looking for a little bit wider pattern. Maybe a spike in channel. No, that doesn't look great. Highs don't fit very well. Maybe something like this. Some of these channels today have to be a little unconventional just because we've been kind of choppy. Nothing's quite as clear cut today. This actually fits pretty well. But yeah, this actually looks pretty good. Pushing higher, you can see the EMA held twice. Channel still holding. Actually ended up being really nice. We do get the first close outside here. This was a second entry, but it was right into the highs, congested, way too far from the EMA. So we get the first break. See if the EMA holds. It does hold again. Looking for a second entry. Also, got a range here. You get a triple test too. This is some strength right here, so let's just keep an eye on what the EMA does. We get a second entry here. Fortunately, the inside bar finishing right into these highs. We've turned this range maybe more like this. We turned here, 2 or 3 times now. We're too close to this highs, inside bar. Several reasons not to take it. You may get a retest on this little micro downtrend as well. So these corrections, time to play out. And yeah, doesn't like you probably wouldn't have scalped out unless you were going for just a few ticks, and it would have gotten you. So, and here's that second leg. Notice one leg, two-legged correction, second leg, and huge bearish bar. So nothing to take here. We push back up into this little range. Probably going to get a retest of these highs. First gap below the EMA after EMA was supported for 3 swings. Still though, this was an inside bar, and then this is nothing. Does push higher like we expected. Another micro trend working. Micro close outside. Nah, it actually looks like it's still holding. Now we got to close outside. Retest. All in one bar right there. Huge bearish bar right into the EMA. Can't take anything. And we got some congestion here. Uptrends have all played out. We just gap below the EMA, so we can't trust it as much here. And like I said, congestion, and it looks kind of like a breakout. Maybe we'd redraw this range like this now. Midline's holding pretty nice. But we already got a potential retest from this uptrend here, so can't really trust this long in my opinion. It's a first entry anyway. Now we get a lower high back inside this range. Unfortunately, right into that EMA, right into this midline. Been an overall bullish bias. Can't trust it. Lower high, getting close to the range lows again. Just bounced here. Can't take it either. Mid range, second entry long. Same thing. Unknown what's happening here. Wouldn't have triggered. Dropped lower. Bad bar here at the support. Looks kind of like a second entry, but still not that great of a bar. Would have worked out. We got a better bar here. This would, and if it was a little lower, this would be worth noting at least. Pushes up to the highs. Looks like we got a micro trend working again. Bounced off that EMA, right up into that resistance. Push through it. Looks like we're a little bit bigger trend. Looks decent. Close outside. New high. Same thing as right here. And it keeps pushing higher. Stack congestion. Straight sideways here. Lower high, but look at all that congestion. You're not that close. You're not that far from the EMA either. More congestion, just straight sideways. and actually started being shaded, so we're past 3:30 Eastern, so I wouldn't recommend trading anything after this, especially on a Friday. So, that's pretty much the end of the day. And it's funny, right here at the end of the day you get a second entry, but still not great because of that congestion. So I'm not going to mark that either. So yeah, let's see how the rest of the day turned out. So we pushed down just a little bit. Not much action in this last couple hours. So 3 trades here. All risky. Nothing clear cut. Basically a meandering uptrend with no clear patterns within here. I mean, nothing was extremely clear. The trends you had to draw a little unconventionally. Like this one. It ended up fitting really nicely, but you didn't start off the tail. You had to widen it a little bit. So nothing clear cut. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And I hope I was an okay fill-in for Marco. So y'all have a great one and talk soon. Bye.